everyone has their own path.
Yes.
So what's meant for me is not meant for you, and what's meant for you is not meant for me. And if you're doing great, you have to be happy for someone else that is also doing amazing things. Pat someone on the back when they're also doing well. Your time will come if it's meant to come.
Yes. Hello and welcome to Unboxed, the podcast where we unravel the heart and soul of branding, marketing, and technology. Today I have with me Mishti Ohri. She's the CEO of Saanté Self-Care, a wellness brand that's making self-care accessible and essential for everyone. With a background in modeling, fashion, and leading a self-care movement, Mishti's journey is truly inspirational. I would like to welcome you to the show, Mishti, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Junaid. Thank you for having me today, and super excited for what's to come.
Great. So when I visited your website, Saanté website, something that really stood out was a picture there of three beautiful women. So one, I believe, is your grandmother, your mother, and yourself. And on the copy, there was something called, there was something that caught my attention, which said, preserving rituals. If you could just elaborate more on what it means, because I know this is 3 generations that you've in that picture, and it says a lot. There's a lot of story in that. So what does preserving rituals mean?
So I'm going to take you back in time. So my grandmom is now 95.
Wow.
And ever since I can remember, she is completely into looking after yourself and self-care. Being a home science graduate, you can ask her the name of any flower plant in your garden, and even till date, she'll give you the name, the Latin name, and the healing property.
Right.
So obviously my mom, Mishti Ohri, grew up around all of this. And then she went and furthered her education from the age of 16. So always being inclined into self-care and healing because of her mom. And then she's now 67, still in the same field, dedicated completely, wholeheartedly to self-care and healing. And me then growing up in that, even though I didn't live with my grandmom, every summer we spent in Delhi with my grandmom. So obviously there is a lot that I have learned from her. And then obviously being mom's daughter, picked up so much. So just trying to preserve what is that 95-year-old practice or beyond, because obviously she comes from a lineage of healing and self-care, my grandmom as well. So just trying to preserve that and actually tell people or show people that there is so much that, our grandfathers, our forefathers have come with that we need to sort of learn from and obviously adapt it to the new generation. But there's so much in those raw ingredients and raw materials and the way they did things. It's not only what you put on your face, but it's just a way of life. And I feel everyone is now going back to that. And I think it's the post-COVID movement where we're trying to hold on to or latch on to our forefathers, our ancestry, and what they taught us. And that's what we're about.
I think that's a really powerful story when to hear, 3 generations of knowledge and rich history being passed down between generations, and you still holding true to it. I think it's very rare, but it's quite interesting to know that it's still and you've actually trying to create a change and impact with that knowledge and what's being passed down. What does Saanté mean? Because for people who don't know, what does it mean? And that's the name of your brand. And what does it mean?
So Saanté means just a good health. And it's every and anything my mom has stood for ever since I can remember and she can remember. So she being obviously in the field since the age of 16. She was Shehnaz Hussein's first and only student from 16. Then she went and furthered her education in UK at the age of 18. Where she actually did a comprehensive 2-year education on health and beauty therapy. And from there, she hasn't stopped learning. And she stands for wellness and health, but from the inside. And we felt Saanté, there was no better fitting name. Plus, she believes we're global citizens. Her being Indian, but roots in India, but obviously being from Dubai now for 40 years, 45 years. So she said, why not have a name that's fitting for everyone, and that we are global citizens. So why only have a name fitting for me, and just a good health? So it couldn't be a better,
I think
name.
From a brand perspective, names are critical for businesses.
Yeah.
This is something that most businesses don't realize. They come up with complicated names. But, something like this with just 2 syllables, I feel it's very easy to remember, very easy to pronounce. And I think it is kind of universal, although, the meaning people may not know the meaning, but it is kind of universal to remember, to pronounce, and that makes a big difference. Growing up, you've talked a lot about your mother and how she's been a great influence, while growing up, being mother's kid. What were some of the key crucial lessons that she's taught you, and what are the things that you still hold dear to yourself?
So obviously, again, going to go back and say that being mom's daughter, wellness is in her DNA, and now I feel it is in mine as well, and my sister's. But because it's so important to her, I remember growing up, we were never allowed a chocolate. We were never allowed to go to a supermarket and say, I want a lollipop. Our birthday cakes were never bought in from outside.
Wow.
Everything was homemade. So a mom working 24/7, but dedicating time to ensure that we were well from the inside because of what she fed us was so crucial. And I remember fighting, and it was never easy, not being able to have a chocolate from outside or a wafer from outside or, a birthday cake from outside. And I would run to my aunt's house, who was like 200 meters away. And in her house, there was any and everything. There was your Maggie, there was anything that you wanted. And I would run home with like 4 Magnums because we weren't allowed that at home. So, and I hated that growing up. And I remember the first year I went to university after that, it was freedom. It was freedom in the supermarket. I could walk in and pick up 8 packets of chips. And I did it. I did it for a year. I did it for a year and a half. And then I realized, and I'm lucky that I did realize, those teachings came back.
Right.
And I still try to implement it. 90%, I'm not as good as her. I try to be. I'll do the homemade bread and I'll do the homemade muffins and then I'll slack off again. But I feel that it's because of that, it's so crucial to the way I am today, the way I eat, how I look after myself. It is because of those learnings. I hated it growing up, but I try to do the same for my kids. And it's the same thing. It's the same. They're rebelling as well. My son's constantly rebelling against homemade this and homemade that. But it is because of what I grew up with. And I feel it's so, so important to have that. And now more than ever. Back then, maybe there weren't so many preservatives and chemicals in food. I mean, even now, the fruits and vegetables we eat are full of preservatives. So why shouldn't we lessen the load and try to make things from scratch? The other day I picked up a garlic bread and I thought, okay, it would be so easy. Just pick up a garlic bread from a well-known supermarket. I'm sure they're putting real butter and real garlic. And I've picked it up 2 or 3 times in the past 6 months just because it's easier to make it at home. I don't know why I looked at the label last week and it said palm fat, palm oil, margarine. And I was just like, oh my God. So we actually don't know what we're feeding our kids. So doing things from scratch, and I think that's what I've learned with my grandmom and my mom. As much as we can, obviously we can't do everything. We're also busy as well. But as much as we can, let's try to eliminate the toxins, the chemicals for our kids.
Yes.
Because it's only going to get worse.
I was just about to ask you, do you follow the same principles with your kids as well, which you touched upon? But I think it is even more difficult for kids because of all the hype and marketing and everything that's being pushed out on mobile devices and on TV to hold them back. So I think the job for you must be even more challenging than for you, it was for your mom to keep your kids away from candy. It's extremely challenging. My son's 10 now. My daughter is 3. So it's easier with her, but I feel like she's also changing now. But Kian, obviously seeing everything on social media and like all these fast food restaurants, he wants to eat any and everything. But we've got a sort of rule at home where 5 days a week, we try to keep it home food, where I try 90% of the time, everything is made from scratch. He gets once a week, he's allowed sushi in school.
And then the weekends is the weekends. I mean, how much you can't limit everything.
Exactly.
And I don't limit it for myself as well, because I am a junk food eater, but 80% of the time I try to be really, really good. And there'll always be a bowl of vegetables and protein, a good lean protein and a bowl of vegetables, but I can't do it all the time. I don't expect my kids to do it all the time.
Yes.
My mom does it probably 98% of the time.
Okay.
She's really good. I mean, if you look at her at 67, you'll be shocked. But I mean, again, there was no social media influence back then. Now there is so much. You want to eat, you want to crave, you want to go into your cravings and satisfy your cravings. So at least 80-20 rule is what we try.
I've noticed something personally with some of the members of my family, some of the kids in the broader family. They are kept away from soda and the cola, and they don't have this inclination like some of the other kids in the family to drink. So when they go out, they're not very keen on having soda and stuff. So I think, like yourself, you're a good example as well. So probably this upbringing will help them in the future to be more conscious and choose the right. I think that
I hope, but there's also a line that we need to draw, because I feel like sometimes they're also getting a bit too conscious.
Yes.
So like now, because my husband's also a complete fitness freak, he's even worse than me.
Right.
Everything he eats, everything he does is completely, like now it's reached to a point where everything is measured as well, So I feel like we don't want that to affect our kids, because we still want them to be kids.
Yes.
They're still going to enjoy. They want the marshmallow and they want the chocolate, and why not in moderation?
Yes.
But when they start looking at themselves and saying, "Oh my God, that's not healthy and that's healthy," I feel there's a time for everything. And I feel Kian is reaching that too fast, too soon, because of what he's seeing and what we're constantly talking about. And I feel there's a full movement of wellness now all over the world, where people are constantly talking about, again, thanks to social media. Is it healthy? Is the label healthy? Is it not? What's in it? Will it make me fat? So obviously we need to be a bit mindful as well how we're talking in front of our kids. I'm not saying I have not done it correctly, but I'm learning now so that I don't do the same with my daughter.
I think the keyword, like you mentioned just now, is moderation. How do we moderate it? And I think if you do that, if you have some sort of balance and you understand exactly how to manage it, I think it should be fine. Coming back to Saanté, what I understand, I'm not an expert in this, but from what you've written, Saanté is a blend of aromatherapy, Reiki, and Ayurveda. Now, is this something unique, this blend, or is it something that's been passed on from generations but lost over the ages, or can you elaborate a bit more on this, on why these three sciences are together?
Yeah. So Ayurveda, because that is my mom's roots. That is what she grew up with. So that is the Ayurvedic part. Aromatherapy is what she studied. After, I think she was 22, 23 when she went back to UK to do a course on aromatherapy. So that is also her study that she blended in with her roots. And she's a Reiki master, so she wanted to bring in that sense of calm and healing into her product. So not just have a product with great, efficient ingredients, but also bring in a bit of healing. And so all our products are infused with Reiki. Not infused, they are infused with Reiki, where she actually passes down Reiki in batches to the products. Is it unique? Yes, very unique. Other brands doing it, there are a few now. I wouldn't say in UAE, but globally that are doing it. When we started in UAE, when we formalized the business in 2020, we were the first and only brand that was manufactured in UAE. Maybe there were people doing it from their kitchen, I'm not sure. That was based on these three sciences. So Ayurveda, aromatherapy, and then infusing with Reiki. And I think we are still the only one manufactured here that is following these three practices. And the reason why it is special is because you're bringing in the best from the East, the West, and then you're blending it with this healing that everyone needs nowadays.
Amazing. When it comes to branding, positioning is crucial, and being the first, the only, makes a big difference, because it shows you are the first in the market, you are the pioneers, and it says a lot about your brand. As per, I was just looking at some stats recently, and as per the Nielsen's 2023 beauty report, 62% of the consumers say that sustainability is more important for them than 2 years back. I know that this is a generational, passed down, this the idea, the concept, but was this after you've taken over, is there been any kind of conscious move to use the word sustainability, ethical beauty, infuse that, or is you just letting it flow as it is?
So we are definitely using it. But our sustainability is the fact is that we are small batch processed. So obviously that does maybe limit us in the long run, and we might pivot later on. But everything is made in small batches. All our oils are ethically sourced. We have certificates behind each and every single product. We have consciously moved from plastic to glass. We still have a lot to do in terms of packaging, in terms of FSC. We're now looking at that. But we have moved consciously from plastic to glass. If there is plastic found, if any of our products come in plastic, there is a conscious reason behind it. It is because you might take it into the shower and there's a breaking issue that can happen.
There's a functional part.
There's a functional reason why.
There
it is in plastic. Otherwise, everything is in glass, recyclable glass. We did sign up with a company here that was actually recycling our empties, or what our oils used to come in, or our oils come in, and they were turning them into crates and tiles. We have now looking for a new company to sort of do that, but that is where our thing comes in. Ethical is again, because being a brand that is generational, my mum has always worked on ethics. And less is more. So we will never, again, that's the sustainability route as well, where less is more. We will never sell you more than you need, because we are not filled with harmful fillers and parabens and harmful chemicals. What you see is what you get. So if you see a hyaluronic in the product, it is actually hyaluronic. It is a composition, is only the actual ingredients. There's nothing else in it. So the product will last you longer. And it'll be more efficient. It'll work better.
All right. Nice. I think your packaging is amazing.
Thank you.
Because we're into doing this in and out, and it's when I look at it, it's very thoughtful. It's elegantly designed, and your brand stands out. And there is some correlation. When you look some products, when you look at it, the ethos of the brand and the touch points, the various touch points. There is some correlation between that, and that it's a good job that you've done with the packaging. When it comes to, I know it is incredibly challenging to get the right packaging, to get the right materials in place. People think that sustainability is easy. You can just use the word next to your brand, and your brand becomes sustainable. But I think if you're really true to the brand, and if you really, if it matters a lot to you, it's quite challenging, right? From sourcing of the right materials, to the packaging, to even the process and the marketing and everything else, to getting it into the hands of the consumers can be challenging. Brands like Apple, they even calculate the number of, packages, the boxes that can fit into a shipping container, to reduce the carbon footprint.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how, it's a little bit of marketing, but a little, they stick to their word as well. So what are the challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis with Saanté? Being a sustainable brand, sourcing the materials, packaging, is it always easy to do it, or there is a little bit of effort and time and a lot of energy that you need to spend to get it right?
It's a costly.
Yes.
So you need to actually weigh being a homegrown brand, being completely self-funded. We need to actually be able to see where we do need to invest our funds. But being a sustainable brand is extremely crucial in this day and age. You need to do it for yourself, and you need to do it for the environment and your consumers.
Yes.
Does it take a lot of time? Not a lot of time, because we still have not reached that level of sustainability which we want to achieve. But it's daily steps. It's daily steps to improve your carbon footprint, to improve the way how the company continues to be sustainable. And it's an effort all around. So it's an effort of my mom's, my dad's, and mine as well. My mom is the most sustainable, I would say, in comparison to me and my dad. So she's constantly, even the waste in her house is decomposted and it's put into the flowers, and there's nothing thrown away. So it comes from within her, and that is obviously a reflection that, you know, the brand does have as well. Yeah.
Right. Who takes care of all the product development, and what is the future for Saanté? Is there a new product line coming? Collaborations? What does the future for Saanté look like?
So Saanté, the future is bright. We actually just launched at Dubai Airport with a spa called Be Relax.
All right.
So we're there currently. We did a summer stint with them. We hopefully that will continue now through the years. And we have a great product line where wellness, hair, and skin is concerned. We are hopefully launching a sunblock in the near future and bringing more of our wellness-based products to market. So whether it is our lymphatic oil, our eczema psoriasis oil, or our arthritis oil, so more wellness-based products, wellness-based solutions.
All right. Coming to entrepreneurship, you're an entrepreneur yourself, and you've mentioned that entrepreneurship is not just a career. Entrepreneurship isn't it just a career path for me? It's a way of life. Can you explain what it means? Because people think that entrepreneurship is all about being in the office 24/7, focusing on getting the right numbers in and so on. So what does entrepreneurship mean for you, and what do you mean specifically when you say it's a way of life?
When I say it's a way of life, it is all I've known.
Yes.
My mom's an entrepreneur. My dad's an entrepreneur. My sister is an entrepreneur as well. I didn't start off my journey as being an entrepreneur, or maybe I did through my modeling, but I did work as well, and now I've gone back to it. It is all I've ever known. It is in my blood. So I wake up and, sorry, I need to go back.
No, it's fine.
So that is, so when I say it is a way of life, that is what I mean. That's what I've grown up around, and that's what I know. My mom's never only worked for herself. My dad's only worked for himself. My sister's only worked for herself. So I think we're a family of entrepreneurs, and yeah.
So it's in the family. It runs in the family. You're a mother, and you have kids. You mentioned that. And how important and the role of a mother is crucial, being an entrepreneur. How do you balance these things out, or you blend these things together, or how?
So it's very tough. It's with my 10-year-old, it is a different set of challenges. With my 3-year-old, it's a different set of challenges. I try to get as much of my work done till pickup. So till 2 p.m., till 3 p.m. is pickup, the first pickup. So I make sure that my gym's out of the way, my work's out of the way. I will still bring home work. It's not that I don't, but I'm learning to get better at it. I'm learning to put away my phone when I come home, even if it's for that half an hour, and then step out if I need to work again. But just spending that time, making sure that 80% of the time I am there for bedtime. I put my son to sleep, I put my daughter to sleep, or my husband does it. But it is very, very challenging because, again, being an entrepreneur, I'm sure it is the same if you're working as well for someone. You don't sleep. Like, you're constantly on the ball. You constantly need to. So even so many times I'm not even at the office, but by 8:30 8:30 p.m., 8:30 a.m., I've done so much work already because everything's on the phone now. Whether it's fulfilling the orders, whether it's rewriting emails, but I just make sure that I wake up on time. I sleep early. For me, sleep is crucial. I can't function. I personally cannot function without 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I just can't do it. So I make sure that is done. I make sure I exercise every day, 5 days a week minimum. And I have to dedicate that time to my kids because they're growing up and they need their mom. So I've actually just started a group on WhatsApp, me, my husband, and my son, where it's called Family Time. And because he's always complaining that we don't dedicate enough actual time with him. It's not that just being around him, but it's actually spending time.
Exactly.
So we've done it, and where we've now putting in our times where we're saying, okay, every Sunday, 6:30 p.m., it's game night, or 6:30 p.m., Papa's taking you out for football, or, it's not just driving you for soccer class. That's not parenting. That might be part of it, but there's more to it. It's the quality of it.
I think the emotional bond, the emotional connection, talking to them.
Yeah. And I feel like with Kian, I had a lot of it because when he was born, I wasn't working. I had taken a break because I had a very high risk pregnancy. So I had taken a break, and so he got that time with me. I feel with Naira, it's a little less because now I'm in the crux of building Saanté. So actually dedicating, even if it's that 3 hours a week, but actually dedicating that 3 hours to them to play a board game, to actually play soccer with them, to, sit and play her dolls with her.
Yes.
It's very, very important.
Yes.
So, but it's all trial and error. We're all learning. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. I'm still trying.
I have a couple of kids of my own, so I know the challenges that like you rightly mentioned. It's not just doing things for them; it's doing things with them and spending time with them, emotionally connecting with them. That really matters. What are some of the most important things as an entrepreneur that you can share with budding entrepreneurs? Because when we look at your journey, you've been into modeling, you've transitioned, and now you've actually an entrepreneur. So what kind of advice would you give budding entrepreneurs in this space who are looking to start something new?
So I'm still learning. I think I still have a long, long way to go. My journey's only just begun. But all I can say is never give up. It's easier said than done. Stop comparing. I do it all the time, and every time I do it, I feel super low. And you have to make a conscious effort to stop comparing yourself to other entrepreneurs, other people in the workforce, just people in general. And everyone has, and the more and more I read, and I love reading, and I love following spiritual guidance, and I love it all. And but the more and more I read, everyone has their own path.
Yes.
So what's meant for me is not meant for you, and what's meant for you is not meant for me. And if you're doing great, you have to be happy for someone else that is also doing amazing things. Pat someone on the back when they're also doing well. Your time will come if it's meant to come.
Yes.
Again, everyone has their own path, and just stop comparing, stop looking at social media in that sense. There's so much more that we can look at social media for, where we can learn so much. I'm learning so much from podcasts like Jay Shetty, and there's another lady I follow called Maha Gaber. She is phenomenal, and I actually went for a talk of hers through Crunch Moms about 4 months ago. And the life lessons you can learn from people on Instagram and on social media are so good. Just don't look at the negative aspect, of it. And the minute you stop comparing, you start growing.
That's very enlightening, actually, because in this world where we are constantly on our phones, so I understand what you're saying. It's incredibly toxic, and it's really important to find that healing process, internal self-healing, and stay away from this. It's quite enlightening.
But it is easier said than done. Like it's also easy to say, but it's not that I didn't compare yesterday. I'm sure I did it. But it's just that we just need to make a conscious effort and wake up in the morning and, as cliched as it is, just be grateful.
Yes.
Just be grateful for what you have. So many times I look and I say, oh my God, why hasn't Saanté reached there? Like,
Yes.
look at that brand. They opened
Yes.
2 years after me,
Yes.
and they're all over the place.
Yes.
And, they're getting 5 million views and 2 million views. Why is Saanté not there? Maybe that's not my journey. Maybe
Yes.
my journey is not to get 5 million views. Maybe my journey is to make a direct impact with someone, like we do when we stand at our pop-ups. That is maybe Santé's journey, and you need to find that. You need to find the happiness in actually acknowledging that, and then but again, very tough. It's constant work.
Yes, and I think it comes in full circle now. If I look at how I know you, I've bought your products, I've used it, I've looked at the attention to detail, the quality of products itself, and I was telling my team about it, and then I said, we need to get this person on the podcast. We need to hear her story, and so the things, small things can go a big way, a long way, and it comes around in circles. So I think, thank you for that. I've used your products, and it's really amazing. Finally, just one last question. Looking at the UAE and the wellness industry here, what are your thoughts, outlook? Are there a lot of genuine brands that focus on wellness, sustainability, ethical beauty in this local market, or is it just mostly commercialized?
So I think Dubai is the first market people want to enter into, global brands. So there is a lot of competition. Are they all focusing on sustainability? Are they all ethical? I would hope so. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. Are they all doing great things? I hope they are.
Yes.
Are they all making a good impact using thought of ingredients and not harmful ingredients, and actually being ethical to the consumer when they say that they don't use parabens and fillers? Again, I would hope so. What is the future for UAE? It's huge. Where wellness is concerned, it's huge. It's catching on to the younger generations. Wellness is now not only going to the doctor, it's a way of life. Everyone wants to feel well every single day. We're a stressed out generation. There's so much that we all are trying to achieve. There's such little time, and it's growing. And the one industry that is going to boom, or the one part of the wellness industry that is going to take over, I believe, is Ayurveda. It is taking over in such a huge way. Like K-beauty was the thing, it still is. But Ayurveda is, it's already reached a level where everyone wants it, whether it is your turmeric latte. Ayurveda is not only what you put on your face, it's just a way of life. You go for any, I've been going for so many classes now, fitness classes, and yoga is incorporated in every single class, whether it is you're stretching at the end or it is you're stretching in the beginning, there is a yoga pose. So it is only the beginning for Ayurveda, and I'm so happy that I'm Indian in this day and age, because it's a super proud moment. It's a great time to be an Indian, and Ayurveda is honestly going to take over the world.
Great. Thank you, Mishti. Thank you for your thoughts, your insights, and valuable input into everything that you've shared with us today. I'm so happy that you decided to come and be part of the show. I'm sure our listeners are going to really enjoy today's session.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Junaid. Thank you for having me. It was amazing. Thank you.
That's it for the show today. Thank you for joining us, and catch you in the next episode. We are available on all major platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. So please do check us out there. Unboxed by AJ. Thank you.